Hi, my name's Jean. This is my garden in Wandsworth, South London. It's the bane of my life right now, and I kind of avoid looking at it. I really would like some help because I don't know anything about gardens, but I've got this vision in my mind. I would like to surprise my 14-year-old daughter, who loves surprises, and just last week was saying we really need a gardener. My daughter and I would like to spend some time out here before it gets all wintry and dark and cold. So please, Garden ER, I need your help. Hello.
We're here. We've come to rescue this very sick garden. Our Garden ER team is Nick.
Hello.
Hi.
Adam,
Nice to meet you.
Sven, who's in charge of today's
Thank
operation.
goodness.
Now, first of all, Sven, I can see some very nasty infections here. These weeds.
Just a few, yeah.
They're going to need an awful lot of antiseptic to get rid of them.
It's all going to go, I've decided.
It's all going to go.
First impressions, lawn's got to go.
So it's
Simple as that.
curable.
It's
There's a
curable,
cure,
but it's
thank
going to be a
goodness.
big job, Jean.
Big operation.
We're going to have to get rid of all this grass because it's just clinging. It's clinging. It's choking the garden. The garden can't breathe. We're going to get rid of it. How long have you left this to its own devices?
Ooh, about a year.
About a year.
That all?
But don't
No,
worry.
yeah. No, I moved in. It was like this when I moved in.
Right, so you've inherited somebody
I've
else's
inherited
problem.
a sick garden.
Right, now Abby's out of the way today, isn't she?
She is.
Right, so you've got to create this garden so that a teenager will be thrilled.
One day.
Okay, what are you going to do to it?
Good question. I think it's quite a small area, so we're going to make it formal-ish, Victorian cottage garden.
Yeah.
Kind of, maybe.
Okay.
Sort of.
Along
He's
those
a little
lines.
bit vague at this point, but I promise you once he gets going, he's got a very keen eye. He'll be
Right.
very
Oh, yes.
sharp. But there is a lot to do. There's a lot of stuff to get dragged up, cut up and killed off, frankly, before we
Yep.
can make some space in this garden. We'll go and put the kettle on. You get to work. Come on, Jean.
Right, first thing we've got to get this up. Turf stripper. You two can carry that. I'll figure out what I'm going to do.
Today's designer is Sven Wombwell. The patient is the Victorian garden in Wandsworth, South London. Sven's diagnosis is an unsightly lawn and no room for planting. The treatment is to remove the lawn and create a paved seating area with a Victorian focal point. Jean's garden is long and narrow, so Sven will create a central area for herbs surrounded by gravel. At the rear will be a paved seating area, while the other end will feature a Victorian fireplace. In keeping with the Victorian theme, Sven will use plants found in a traditional Victorian garden. As Sven says, the lawn must go, so Nick's first task is to get rid of the turf.
I'm just going to give this lowland cypress a short back and sides. It's quite an imposing plant. One little tip when you're bringing them back, don't cut into the old wood. If you do that, it won't regrow and you'll end up with a horrible dead patch. The other thing we're going to do is take the tops out. They grow to an immense height here, so not only will I cut the sides, I'll give it a nice flat top as well.
The plan for this garden here is it's tiny, it's small, so we're going to keep it really simple. What we're going to have in this area over here is a seating area with some cobbles underneath and some big iron bars over the top creating an archway. We need to cover all the walls and the fences, so we've got willow panels, trellis work to do. The rest of it's going to be plants and gravel, nothing complicated, very simple.
Now that the turf has been stripped, the next job is to measure up and mark out the design on the ground.
That here? No, we'll take it in line to there, actually.
Once that's been done, Sven and Nick start digging the gravel bed. Sven plans to use scaffold boards to separate both the flower bed and the herbs from the gravel.
Okay, so Sven, plank all the way through?
How many have we got of them?
About half a dozen.
Okay, all the way along here.
Yeah.
All the way along there.
Yeah.
All the way along there, for now.
Yeah. And up there. Up there.
Yeah. Couple up there.
A few down there. Okay.
I'm just working out the level here, because if you're going to gravel, you don't want it to be higher than a paving that's already there. So what you need to do is dig down below the level, which thankfully ain't that much.
Well, the boys are taking out lots and lots of earth. It's all, the turf has gone. What do you think at the moment?
I just think mess. Muddy mess. No, I've got faith in Sven, so I'm sure it's going to look fantastic.
It is, but Jean has got a real thing about mess and dirt, and this is driving you mad, isn't it?
It's like my worst nightmare come true.
Let's go and have a word with Sven. Bring Jean up to date. What's going on?
Right, these here are retaining. Basically there to retain the gravel to stop it falling over into the beds. It's the simplest and quickest way you can do it. Plank of wood, 2 posts, bang it in the ground and it's done.
All this is going to be
This
gravel.
is all going to be gravel,
And
seating
this is-
area
and what's
up here.
seating
This is
area?
going to be the seating area. It's quite small,
Yeah.
but
So why have you chosen that as a season? Is that because it's a sun
one,
back
because
board?
I think the sun comes across this way more, and secondly, visually, it would look a lot better here than it would down there.
Yeah.
But there is
and this is all planting.
all planting around the edges, just to enclose the space.
There's still lots to do, isn't
There is, and there's actually one thing. One thing.
You waggle your finger at me, Mr. Wombwell.
You can guess what I'm going to say. Well, you probably can't, but I wanted to get something, please.
Okay, what do you want?
I want a fireplace,
Fireplace.
Okay.
Victorian-looking fireplace, but don't spend loads of money on it because it's going to be outdoors and it'll be a waste.
Sven's wish is our command, so we're off to House Hospital, an architectural reclamation yard close to Jean's house.
We would like to see a selection of your finest Victorian fireplaces. I'll take Edwardian as well if you like, but...
Through there.
Let's go look over there, girls.
Thanks, Jim. They're lovely.
So what do you think of this sort of thing?
That's lovely, but I just think it's a bit too big for the garden, really.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
almost
see
like
that outdoors.
I see that indoors in a beautiful room. Even though the garden's going to be beautiful, I think
It's
it's
not
just a
right,
bit too
is
big.
it?
It'll just overtake everything else.
So we've got these smaller sort.
I mean, that is beautiful again, but again, I think it's just a bit too big.
Also
And-
maybe with these tiles as well, there is too much going on.
There is too much going on. I mean, again, I see that in a beautiful room, you know, white painted room. Not really a garden, I just think it's
Yeah.
overdoing
No,
it.
I think you're right. Okay, well, we're sort of looking for something a bit simpler, maybe a bit more rustic, a bit more open,
Yeah, a bit
not quite as formal.
Yeah.
Right, let's go along here then, just behind us.
Oh,
What
this
do you
is
think?
it.
Is this
Oh,
more
I like
what
this
you?
one, yeah, this is the one in terms of the size and the shape and just the
This is
detail.
kind of what I imagined when Sven asked us to go and
Yeah,
get
this is what I had in my head as well before we got here.
this. Nice design on
Oh, I
here.
really like it. And I can see it just fitting in and not clashing.
Has it stone on your heart?
It has captured my heart.
Has it captured
somewhat.
your heart? Right, well, I think then, young lady, this is when you get it. So we're going to have this one. Jim, this is definitely the one
Right.
that Jeannie wants. But the thing is, now we're in a real hurry. Time is of the essence. We've got to get this back to our boys back in the garden.
Right, if you ladies move out, I'll do the dreaded deed and get it done.
Thank you very much.
We're in Wandsworth, South London, and this is what Jean's garden looked like before she called the garden ER team. It's long and narrow, so Sven's plan is to break the garden up with a central planting area for herbs, a paved seating area to one end, and a Victorian fireplace at the other. He plans to keep the Victorian theme using traditional plants. The garden is already beginning to take shape. Scaffold boards have been laid to mark out the different areas, and the garden ER team are now fixing them in place.
Stuff we're laying down here is called landscape fabric. It's porous, so it lets water through. Also, it stops weeds from growing up. One thing I have noticed in a lot of people's gardens I've done before is that they use plastic. Never ever use plastic. It stops water coming through and getting into the soil, and it's just horrible and causes damp. Also, another little tip, when you're laying the stuff down, you can either use the proper pins that you get that are sort of like that shape and you just bang them in, but if you haven't got those, like we haven't, tuck it in with the edge of the spade.
At the top of the garden, Nick and Adam are laying carpet cobbles to form the paved seating area. The cobbles come in sheets in a range of styles, sizes and colours and are quick and easy to lay. And as this is a Victorian garden, the cobbles add a genuine Victorian feel.
It's out there. Right, no, 10. 500.
We're brushing in a dry mix, which is a fine sharp sand, which as you can see, doesn't stick to these cobbles when brushed. And then push it down, something, your hands, trowel, doesn't matter what, and brush it in again. Just makes it quicker and easier. And you sprinkle it with water or leave it to rain and it sets nice and hard. And that's it. Easy as that. Just haunched up the sides, put a bit of water on so they set it and it won't spill everywhere. Plus it holds the cobbles in place.
The cobbles have been laid, the beds have been formed, and now it's time for the plants.
Okay. That's what I thought. Pittosporum,
I'm not sure. I
back corner? Or
it needs a bit more light, so that corner there.
okay, and Viburnum.
Viburnum's quite happy in that corner
Yeah.
as well. But equally, it would be quite happy
It'd
in
be
that
quite
corner.
nice in that corner, I think. I think actually, because our fireplace is going in here, so I think that'd look cool.
Yeah.
What do you want this stick?
It's not a stick, it's a great plant. It's a Melanchia. It's got lovely autumn colour and nice flowers too.
Looks like a stick.
It looks. Well, we'll put the stick, as Nick calls it. Just have a think. I think we need some bit of canopy to the right.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it'll help hide the wall a bit as well. On the wall.
Where do you want this time, Adam?
Acanthus mollis. It's a little fact you probably don't know. The acanthus leaves, the Romans used to use in the Roman pillars, just at the top. So next time you see this plant, you probably won't notice it or recognise it this small, but it actually goes quite tall and has nice purple flower spikes on it. The next time you hear the name acanthus, you'll know what the Romans used it for.
This box here is for the herbs. It's not strictly a Victorian idea. I mean, it's very cottage garden. I mean, the whole planting in this garden isn't strictly Victorian. There's influences from Victorian gardens, from cottage gardens, and from more modern gardens. That includes the materials we're using in the garden as well. So we're using iron rods to make the seating area and to make some obelisks to climb plants over. Now I've got a trellis panel to put up, which, is that Victorian? When you're putting up trellis panels, make sure that the uprights are on the outside because climbers have a tendency to grow up, surprisingly enough.
In true cottage garden style, I've got a mixture of herbs here in this herb garden. I've got sage, but I've also got flowering plants as well, like this Achillea paprika. And around the borders here, I've got forget-me-nots, mysotes. I've got lavender, I've got rosemary, I've got all sorts of different herbs here. I've got thymes, and it's not only going to be a riot of colour and scent, it's all going to be something very practical. It's near the kitchen, so you can come out and pick her herbs. You can also come, just behind here, we've got some bay trees. It's going to be lovely scent, lovely colour, and it's going to regenerate. It's going to be like this year after year after year. The only thing you'll need to do is just to thin the herbs out occasionally. We have some light on the patient, please.
Sven, we have a finishing touch fireplace for you. It looks gorgeous. It's lovely, Sven.
Right.
Really, really nice.
This looks gorgeous. It's
Do you
perfect.
like it? And you have your grate and the plate that goes on the top
splendid.
there. It is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful plants. Is this going to be easy for Jeannie to look after?
Generally it is, yeah.
See,
I mean,
I'm feeling a bit intimidated now. I'm thinking, oh my
oh,
God,
don't
if I
be.
ruin it.
Buy some books. There you go. No, I mean, basically all the shrubs are just going to need clipping back and keeping in shape.
Right.
The herbs benefit from being used. You know, keep them under control. Perennials, you know, you could divide them at the end of the year.
Okay, and what about watering? And I mean, does the
Watering,
garden need watering in the winter? Is that
once in the summer, yes.
But in the winter,
In the
it's
winter,
fine,
it's
as it?
fine, yeah.
Okay, the fireplace is in. I'd say this garden is pretty much ready. We can get Abby now. Where is she?
She's at friends locally.
Has she got any idea?
She doesn't have any idea. She thinks we're having some kind of weird dust being removed from the ceiling.
Okay, and do you think she's going to love it?
She's going to absolutely adore it.
Right, we're going to go and organise getting Abby back. So you do your finishing touches. Okay, come on, let's go and sort this.
I'm sure Abby will be really surprised when she sees what the Garden ER team have done to her mum's garden. This is what it looked like before we arrived this morning. And this is what we've done. Quite a difference, I'm sure you'll agree.
In a day?
Hi, I'm Katrina. This is Sven, Nick and Adam.
Hello there.
And we're from Garden ER. And Jeannie got us here today to rescue a very sick garden. And in a day, we've done it. And it was all a surprise for you.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you.
That's all right.
Oh my, you've been
Sven designed it.
Now. Oh,
It is, but doesn't the gravel look lovely now it's all damp?
oh, so sweet, thank you.
Herb garden.
Oh my gosh, just oh my God.
So the idea is this is sort of like a Victorian country cottage garden in the middle of London.
Oh,
See?
little bench.
Oh no, I like the bench.
Told you.
And because there is a job for both of you, because while you sit on the bench, what you can see growing up this wigwam structure is the sweet peas that you're going to plant in the spring. Just say yes. Just say yes, Katrina.
Right.
Okay.
On camera now. You've
Yeah.
got to do it.
Sven's given Jeannie the instructions. There's going to be sweet peas that will grow all the way up there. Smell gorgeous, because you've got to, so you can sit and look at them grow.
That's not going to be lovely.
So this is
Thank
all.
you.
This is yours.
Bye.
Did you have any idea anything was going on?
Yeah, well, kind of. What's wrong with the roof, you know?
Did you say there was something wrong with the roof?
Yeah, I said there was something.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and it's kind of a bit, and then you like shut me out, like standing outside.
Out, stay out.
It's fine by me.
Worth waiting for?
Yeah,
But
very.
you said, didn't you, 2 weeks ago, we need a gardener?
I know. Oh, thank you.
Now we've got 3. We've got
Now you got 3. Yeah.
Well, I think, gentlemen, that our job here is done. So we are going to go. There are other gardens to rescue, frankly. So we're just going to leave you to have a little pot around, take the garden in, and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not at all.
Thank you.
Come on now, other gardens to rescue. Let's get going.
Another happy customer. That's all we've got time for today. Join us again soon on Garden ER. Always remember, when you're using power tools, do follow the recommended safety instructions.